The time for big bang reforms has come. That seems to be the message coming from UPA too. Prime Minister Manmohan Singh all set to change his image of being an underachiever or a tragic figure. In the last 2 days, the UPA government has clearly sent out a big, bold message. We mean business. Hello and welcome. You're watching We Mean Business. I'm Shweta Rajpal-Kohli. On the show today, we'll take you through some of those big bang reform measures that the government has announced today, just a day after that very, very critical diesel price hike and the decision to cap the number of LPG cylinders to just 6 a year. Let's take a look at some of those reform measures. 51% FDI in multi-brand retail notified, one of the most politically sensitive decisions that the government decided to take today. 49% FDI from foreign carriers and domestic carriers, which is your FDI in aviation, yet another crucial reform that has got a go-ahead disinvestment in for companies as well. Big bang reforms coming. 74% FDI allowed in DTH as well. Let's first quickly go across to our interview with Commerce Minister Anand Sharma that my colleague Arijit Banerjee did earlier in the day.
I don't see any reason why anybody should be offended or upset. We have consulted everyone. We have tried to build a consensus. You know, there's not a single stakeholder here. There are multiple stakeholders when it comes to FDI and multi-brand retail. Single brand is a different issue. Farmers, consumers, industry, cottage, small and medium enterprises, community organizations, political parties, state governments. Last November itself, the decision was taken on the 24th of November. Thereafter, it was purely political opposition. One point which came across during these consultations was that it should be left to the discretion of the states. Chief Minister Gogoi said so. Kerala, though, had its reservations. The Chief Minister made it clear that it is a right of a state to decide for itself. Therefore, this is an enabling policy. Government of India does not give a license or a trade license. That is done by a local authority under the Shop and Establishment Act or the Trade Act. So the states who want it have the freedom to do it. The states who do not want to do it equally have the freedom not to do it. We have shown deference to what Mamata Banerjee ji has told us.
All right, Commerce and Industry Minister Anand Sharma speaking to NDTV, defending some of those critical decisions that have already got some allies and the opposition up in arms. Let me introduce our special guests on the show today. We've got Mr. Rajan Bharti Mittal, Vice Chairman and Managing Director of Bharti Enterprises, perhaps the strongest advocate of FDI and multi-brand retail. Also with me, Dr. Pronab Sen, Principal Advisor of the Planning Commission, Gurudas Das Gupta, Lok Sabha MP of CPI, Captain Gopinath, founder of Deccan 360, Shankar, independent economist and political strategist, and with me here in the Delhi studio, Kapil Kaul, CEO South Asia of CAPA, and Mr. Narendra, Taneja, well-known energy expert. But Mr. Rajan Bharti Mittal, to you first. Are you clearly overjoyed with the government's decision to finally go ahead and allow FDI and multi-brand retail?
Now, let me say that this is a landmark decision which we welcome it. That it has been finally, a call has been taken. It is left to the states to determine, whichever states will determine. But we have to see not only in isolation about the industry, but we must congratulate the bold decision taken in the interest of all the stakeholders. People are only talking about the industry, not really realizing that the impact this industry has on the consumer itself, that's a given, on farmers, on local manufacturing, on employment. Let's not forget that the employment that this kind of business generates really at the bottom of the barrel. I've seen it myself, being in this industry now for a few years. So I think it is good for the country, it's good for the industry.
Mr. Mittal, we've of course seen the government trying to push this through for many, many months. We saw what really happened in the month of November when the government had to hold back this decision, and we'd like to not call it a rollback because it's clearly something that has gone through. Are you optimistic that this time around the government will not buckle under pressure and will not be forced to once again hold back this decision, because there is once again political opposition building up?
Well, all I can say is, I said it even last time when this decision was done in November and put on a pause, that this decision is a decision in the interest of the nation. This decision is not being taken just for a particular set of people or a particular industry. You will have a nation which, when we look back after a few years, that this landmark decision changed the landscape. So I hope, and I'm quite certain, with the government taking this bold reforms, both the Minister and Prime Minister being very clear that India is at the stage where you will need reforms, and there are issues pertaining to this, but it's in the interest of the nation. And I think that sentiment is well reflected today. I heard the Minister, I heard the statement. It is quite evident that this has been kept in mind, that these decisions are in the best interest.
All right, Mr. Mittal, at this stage, what, according to you, is the unique Indian signature to India's FDI and multi-brand retail policy? Because that's a term that Commerce Minister Anand Sharma has used, that it's a very unique policy that has been formulated keeping in mind the needs of India. Explain to us how the policy has been tweaked to suit India's needs.
First of all, we must realize it's the first time around that while a policy has been cleared by the centre, it is left to the state's discretion as to if they would allow stores to be opened in their states. My question has always been here that if you allow the Indian companies to open stores in states, what is wrong when you get an FDI in the same business? How different it is. The market is growing, not only the organized retail, but even the unorganized retail is growing. So clearly keeping that in mind is a uniqueness that we have allowed the states to take a decision. Secondly, manufacturing has been linked into it, that you will link in manufacturing in terms of buying 30% from the Indian stable. Lastly, they've also said that 50% of the investment has to go to back end, which has been a weak link, as we all know. So clearly, it's well-defined policy. It is unique to the Indian needs, and I'm sure as we go along, you will see that the Indian needs that have been particularly kept in mind will start delivering and showing results.
India's #1 news app just got even better. Download NDTV's new app. Fully optimized for retina display. Full screen view. Faster response time. And Sudoku. NDTV's new iPad app. Download now.